Deputy Director of the Sana'a Center for Strategic Studies. Osamah, thanks so much for joining us here on the show. Now, first of all, the Yemen's UN-backed government is warning of devastating consequences after separatists declared self-rule. Can we really expect devastating consequences following this?
It's really too early to judge at this point of time, but what we could see today in the South is a reflection of the mismanagement of Saudi Arabia over the conflict in the South. And if I can say, this brings the Riyadh agreements to an official end. Will it really bring any chaotic in the South? Again, if we would look at what the statement of the STC is stating, is that it's announcing itself to self-government and autonomy over the South, which poses a lot of challenges ahead of it. First is that it's committing itself to providing services to all the areas in the South, one of which is paying salaries, which has been a difficulty facing the government of Yemen. The STC is weaker than before, especially in the South. It's really not hard to predict whether they're going to have the capabilities of functioning the state institutions in one side, but also how can they get the buy-in from the other southern governorates. STC in the last months has lost control over Shabwa and Aden governorate. It doesn't also have any control over the other southern governorates like Hadramaut and Al-Mahra. And literally, what the STC is controlling now is Aden, Aden, Lahj, and Adala. And if we look at these three governorate, it represents the twine of the Western governors of the South, and it does not include the other part of the South, which is the Bedouin that we're talking about, Shabwa and Aden.
Right. You mentioned there briefly the Riyadh agreement. So where does this leave Riyadh agreement? And can we expect Saudi Arabia to intervene?
First of all, as I mentioned earlier, I assume that the Riyadh agreement has come to an official end given the escalation of the STC. And I think it is less worse than what would have happened if the Riyadh agreement was implemented. And actually, if you look at the Riyadh agreement, its main aim is to bring the government of Yemen back to Aden. But also, if we look at underneath it, it's about bringing the Bedouin tribes from south of Yemen and from Shabwa and Aden to the capital of Aden, where they would have to work with the tribesmen from Adala and Lahj. Even the agreement was implemented, but having these two components in one place, meaning that there might be a conflict, and that would the historical grievances between these two sides in the South will happen again. The question is now for Saudi Arabia, what are the challenges ahead of it? First of all, the question is of how would Saudi Arabia deal with the ST escalation? And I think it's ahead of two options. And again, the Saudis' mismanagement or the failure over the Riyadh agreement is leaving them in a losing position at this point. The first one, it's either they go and confront the STC, and to confront the STC on the ground in their territories would be considered a political loss for Saudi Arabia. And the other option is for them to accept the STC to continue or to self-govern the South, which means that they have failed to bring the internationally recognized government back to Aden, which is the temporary capital of Yemen now.
Okay, Osamah al Rawhani, the Deputy Director of the Sana'a Center for Strategic Studies. Thanks so much for breaking that down for us and explaining everything.